Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Global Radio and TV Live, and I am your host, Dr. Ravi. The number to call is 469-307-1642, 1642. Well, I would like to thank our viewers in United Kingdom, that is our number one audience this month, followed by USA, India, Morocco, United Arab Emirates, Canada, Thailand, Japan, Ukraine, China, Korea, Pakistan, and Iraq. Well, if I haven't mentioned your country's name, just shoot us an email. We will include your country also in that list. Well, at Global Radio and TV Live, we talk about conspiracy theories and controversial topics. I, as a scientist, as you know, we would like to go into the scientific aspects of either it's a controversy or conspiracy. Well, we have a controversial topic coming up in a few minutes. We are going to talk about it. Well, there are a lot of other conspiracy theories. The existence of God, controversial in some people's mind. Illegal aliens are actually the aliens, not the illegal aliens. Do they exist? JFK assassination. Ladies and gentlemen, I am from Dallas, so JFK assassination is a big topic here, and all controversial topics. And there is always firm believers as well as skeptics that always come and talk to us in many of our shows. Now, coming back to today's topic is a departure from many of the usual routine. We are going to talk about a Baptist girl from Kentucky and how she got involved with the transgender community. Now, this is nothing more controversial than this. In some people's mind, not in my mind though. So let's see, we have a special guest, Bobbie Thompson and Alana Nicole Scholar. Okay, now both of them have written different books. They are going to talk about those books. Now we are going to today concentrate on Bobbie Thompson's book, My Husband Looks Better in a Lingerie Than I Do, Damn It. That's her book. Okay, Bobbie, welcome. And Alana, welcome to Global Radio and TV Live.
Thank you. We're glad to be here today.
Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, there they are. You guys both look fantastic.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that.
Okay, very good. Now, let's get right to it. Bobbie, you said that you grew up in a small town in Kentucky.
Correct.
Where everything is pretty straightforward and normal. There are the farmers out there milking the cows, and school boys are going to school and then end up in Sunday school, and everything is great, and suddenly everything is topsy-turvy for you. But anyway, before it went topsy-turvy, you were actually spending good 22 years with your first husband. You had 2 children, a boy and a girl. So start from the scratch and tell us, our audience, your background.
Okay. Actually, I was the little missionette teacher, the little Sunday school teacher in the Baptist church, and grew up in church my entire life. And we live right here in the Bible Belt. We live in Versailles, Kentucky, which is the same town where Alana grew up as a male, and we now live as 2 females married. You're right. My first husband and I were married for 22 years, and we have 2 children. And then we got a divorce. And after that divorce, then prior to being aware of Alana, I knew Alan. And Alan's family was very close friends with our family. I'll use the male pronouns when I'm talking about things that I'm remembering. He and my sister were good friends and ran around together, and Alan and his brother. And then, so I knew the kid because Alana is a little bit younger than me, because they ran around with my sister. My mother and Alana's mother were best friends, and we'd get together and play rook and just went to church together, and being raised in the church and doing regular, everyday, normal things was my life.
So, in other words, you had known Alana since childhood.
I had known the person I identified as Alan
since childhood
for many years, but I was not aware of Alana at all until 2006.
I
Of course, the transgender person always knows they are transgender. It's the family members and friends of that transgender person who aren't always aware of what the transgender person is experiencing.
Okay,
And
let me ask Alana. Alana, when did you come to know? When did you realize that you are not really interested in being a man, but you are much more, you know, directed towards being a woman? When did you realize this?
Well, the first time I realized I had an issue, and of course I didn't know what the issue was because we're talking it was 1969 and I was 8 years old. And
How many years old?
I was eight.
8 years old. Okay.
Yeah. And the cover on the front of my book is actually me dressed at 8 years old in my mother's dress and wig and holding her purse and everything at the age of eight in 1969. But of course, in 1969 and growing up out in the country on a farm, we didn't know anything about all that stuff, and transgender stuff wasn't really that known in 1969 anyway. But yeah, I was 8 years old when I knew I had a problem, but then I started running from it, and I hid it from me and my family.
I see. So the transgender community probably existed in the closet, and the
Yeah,
general public didn't want to deal with it, and the transgender community was afraid of coming out of the closet in those days. Am I reading it right?
correct.
absolutely, yeah, yeah,
Okay. All right. Now let's get back to Bobbie. So okay, so you went through 22 years of marriage, and then you got
Right.
divorced, and then
Correct.
here is the most interesting thing. Now in your book I read, if some married man calls you up and says, "Hey, I want to get together," you said, "Wait a minute,
Correct.
what the hell are you talking about? You want to get together for what?"
Oh, I knew what they were talking about when they said get together. And of course, that married man was Alan. And because I had known him, what, a good 15 years or more at that time, it kind of pissed me off that he was so straightforward because I knew what he meant by saying, I want to get together. So I said to him, because he's my friend and I'm very straightforward myself, well, Mr. Married Man, when your wife says you can come blank me, then you can come blank me. And so he said, well, she's here right now. You want to talk to her? And I had known him, and of course, which meant I also knew his wife, Mary. And I thought, I'm not going to talk to her on the telephone. You could put any woman on the telephone and make me think it was Mary.
Right.
I'm coming to your house. And I figured that I would go over there and cook his goose, so to speak, and he would never come on to another woman as long as he was a married man.
Exactly.
Well, when I got over there, I learned things that I had no idea existed. And technically, that was, I was introduced to the swinger world, is the best way to describe it. But it was what Mary said that she told me that she loves her spouse. Her spouse had a higher sex drive than she did. She knew me, knew that I was a good person, knew that I wasn't out to take her spouse away from her, which is true, I wasn't. And it was simply a physical thing. And she knew that he would be someplace where he was safe. And then I had this feeling that, well, you said if your wife said you could, then we could get together. And it was like I almost had to live up to my word because I had said, well, if she says that, then we can. So I felt like we had to. So we
So
started
so you
a
thought
relationship that lasted for 3 years.
so you thought she's going to say no because that's
Correct.
normally the reaction one would get. So
Correct.
you were trapped.
Well, I didn't see it as trapped. It was quite a journey,
Okay.
actually, and I'm thankful to have had that experience in my life now.
Okay.
I'm the type of person that believes you learn something from every experience, and it might be years later before you realize what you've learned, but I learned quite a bit
You know,
from my
since you
experience.
are a Sunday school teacher, is it what that's what you said, right? I mean,
I was,
you are,
yes.
I got a question for you.
Uh-huh.
I'm not a Christian. I didn't grow up in that faith. But in the Bible, doesn't it say that adultery doesn't have any caveats? That, in other words, there are no fine prints in adultery. Even if the wife says you can go along with the other person, the Bible, does it say? Oh, this is just a question. Don't take it too seriously.
I was
No.
going to say, I don't know.
because I was thinking, even if the wife allows you to have extramarital affair with her husband, adultery is still an adultery. But you got away with it. Okay, very good. Anyway, that's just a joke.
You
Don't take
know,
it.
I don't discuss religion or politics a whole lot,
Okay,
but I
good
was
choice.
raised in the Baptist faith,
Yeah.
and my understanding is they believe once saved, always saved. So I figured I was okay.
All right, very good. Okay. Okay, now, so you know that relationship with Alan. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
at that time, Alana was Alan. That
Correct.
relationship went on for about 3 years, right?
Correct.
And it was perhaps most interesting because you are not really tied up with anything. In other words, you can date other people you want, and you are a free woman at that point. Is that correct?
Right. Correct. Correct. And as a single person, um, the relationship that I had with Alan was strictly a physical relationship, and it worked for both of us because it kind of held down on the one night stand situation that a lot of single women go through. I didn't have any reason for one night stands. I had Alan at the house whenever we were able to get together.
So that
And
was pretty much a perfect scenario. Now, only problem with that
correct.
is there's always some other man gets into this. There's always some other guy ruins things. Now, I think we will call this man. I mean, God bless him. Rest in peace, our little redneck. Now, tell us,
Correct.
while you are having this experience with Alan, things are going good. Suddenly, you fell for somebody else.
Yes,
Tell
I
us.
did.
Yeah, tell us about this.
Okay.
That's all right. Don't worry about the dog.
Sorry.
Let him make noise.
Um, yes, it was. Little Redneck is the perfect description of the person that caught my heart. I tried real hard not to fall in love with this person because they were a little redneck, and I did fall in love with him. And so I went to Alan and said, I really appreciate Mary and appreciate her sharing you. However, that's not me. That's not how I was raised, you know, and being in a relationship, I want it to be a committed relationship. So therefore, our sexual part of our relationship has to end. We can remain friends. We've been friends forever, and we can continue being friends, but we can no longer be sex partners. And so we both understood that that's the way it had to be, and we quit that part of our relationship because I went to dating only Little Redneck, and it wasn't long until, well, it was long. We were together almost 4 years before we finally married, but we did get married. I wound up marrying Little Redneck, so I didn't have a relationship other than just being friends and seeing Alan out in town every now and then, like running into him. He and Mary at the grocery store and saying hello and stuff like that. But that ended the relationship that I had with Alan when I met and started falling in love with her.
Okay. All right, hold on. There is somebody might be calling. So let somebody else
Okay.
take over, but maybe they have a question.
Okay.
Um, question for you. Just a minute. Let me see. Okay. Question for you. Alan. Alana. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Alana, what happened when Bobbie said that I am falling for this little redneck? How did you feel?
Uh, well, I felt pretty sad. I was happy that Bobbie had found somebody that she could be close to, but there was something about a little redneck that just didn't sit right with me, and I really was kind of afraid for Bobbie in a way. I just I get these feelings sometimes about people, and he was one of those people that I liked him, but I felt like there was a problem with him.
I see. Alana, your gut feeling or intuitive feeling that you had actually came true a few years later. Bobby, tell our audience, was Alana's intuitive feelings or bad gut feelings about Little Redneck, was it true, and what happened?
Yes, they were very true. Um, it's also true that love is blind,
Yes.
because I definitely had on blinders when it came to Little Redneck and being mistreated
Don't we all?
by Little Redneck. It started as verbal abuse, I guess you would say, first. And it did escalate into some physical abuse. There were at least twice during our relationship that I thought at that moment, okay, so this is the day I'm going to die and this is how I'm going to die. But I always justified why he was being so angry and so enraged and everything. And I just kept saying, once he realizes that I love him and his life is good and things have changed, and I just kept waiting for things to change, but they never did. And Little Redneck had been diagnosed with depression and bipolar and fought that depression. And things had hurt me so badly that I had said to him, in order for us to heal and save this marriage at all, you're going to have to move out. You're going to have to give me time to heal and then see what we can do to save this marriage. Well, he moved out of the house, and within 30 days, he had committed suicide.
Oh, okay.
So,
All right. So, you committed suicide within 30 days, you said?
right. Within
So
being out of the house for 30 days, he had committed suicide.
so he was actually suffering from depression to the extent, because people who are depressed, some of them, not all of them, some
Right.
of them will commit suicide eventually. And apparently,
Right.
his condition was pretty advanced. Plus, also he was an alcoholic.
He had been an alcoholic,
Uh-huh.
and when we started dating, he got drunk one night and got very enraged. And that was before we got real serious about one another. And I told him that this girl won't put up with that kind of stuff. You can drink all you want to, but you can't drink and be in a relationship with me. Those two things just won't go together. So I never saw him drunk again, and I'm not aware of another time that he was even drinking. Like, I never smelled it on his breath or anything like that.
Okay.
So he had been an alcoholic.
So let's go back to Alana. So she was going through her life with the Little Redneck, and going 4 or 5 years have passed. During those 4 or 5 years, what happened to you?
Well, my of course, my life just continued on the path it was on. There was I was involved with others, as you know, during my marriage as well, and which in my book, people learned that I was bisexual as well. So my dating went from not just women but to men as well. So although I missed Bobbie, my life was still going on, and I was still trying to hide a secret that I had that I couldn't let out. And I really believe that that's why I was acting out, sexually the way I was, because I was trying so hard not to feel that I was acting out in other ways that eventually caught up with me and brought harm to me personally.
Okay. Right. Listen. This brings up a very interesting point. See, this is a great confusion among people who don't have any idea about transgender community, transgender people. Now, Bobbie, let me ask you this. When you look at Alana, what do you see exactly? Are you seeing Alan or Alana?
Today, I see only Alana, because I am aware of Alana. Once you get a perspective on something, that's what you see. previously, because our relationship was strictly a sexual relationship, it was definitely a male masculine person that I identified whenever I saw Alan, because that's what our relationship was all about. I was totally unaware of Alana at that time, could never have dreamed that this masculine, aggressive entity that we had such a relationship with even thought anything about femininity.
Okay.
And then now that I'm totally aware of Alana and know that this is the person, this is Alana's identity, then, and I've said it before, Alana can be totally nude and I still only see the feminine.
Okay.
Oops.
Well, that's okay. This is the screen that you are supposed to see. I was piping in the screen that the audience were seeing.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So we can go, we can go back and forth. See, that's the screen audience are looking at.
Oh, okay.
Okay, this is the screen that is directly coming out of my camera straight to you. That's why it's much clearer. Anyway,
Okay, cool.
okay, just a little technical detail. Now, this is the next question is a very tricky question. It could be a trap. So I want to ask you, and be careful with this one. The question is this. You said you are attracted towards Alana.
Correct.
Now, does that make you a lesbian?
I get asked that question a lot,
Okay, all right.
actually.
Let's get this out of the way.
Okay, and the way I answer it is, in order for you to be able to have some understanding of our relationship, then you have to think of us in whatever sets well in your mind. And a
Okay.
lot of people see us and see two women and classify us as lesbians. A lot of people see us and sees a female body and a body that was born in a male condition and classifies us as a straight couple. So personally, I classify us as two people in love.
Ah,
I'm not attracted to women. I see this woman sitting next to me. I'm attracted to this person. This person is an absolutely beautiful person who happens to be a trans female. And this is the person that I'm attracted to.
this is the person that you are attracted to. This is very, very critical. See, most of the people have a lot of misunderstanding, and in your case, you have clearly shown that what is your attraction is. You are, because I would imagine any woman walks by, you would not be interested.
Correct.
Exception, the sole exception in this entire world, at least it looks like, is Alana.
Correct.
Okay,
Now,
because yeah, go ahead.
when I look at a woman, I know whether or not that woman is pretty.
That's right.
And, it doesn't mean that I'm attracted to that woman. It just means whether or not that woman is pretty. And I know a lot of trans females who are beautiful women.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
But that doesn't mean that I have an attraction to them.
exactly. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are actually coming to our first break. Now, we are going to take a 2.5, 3 minute break, and we are going to come back and ask a bunch of questions. This is a fascinating conversation. If you want to call us at 469-307-1642, and we are talking to Alana and Bobbie, and Alana is a transgender person. She has also written a book, Hung in the Middle, and Bobbie has written another book, My Husband Looks Better in a Lingerie Than I Do, Damn It. So both are great books. Both are available in Kindle. I'm reading the first book, fascinating reading. I'm not going to give you the end. We are going to talk only the early part of the deal. And we are now going to go and look at some of the transgender women. Even if you guys don't know how they look, now here is a video I think you should take a look at. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be right back. Alana and Bobbie, please stay on the line. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Global Radio and TV Live, and I am your host, Dr. Ravi. You are listening to Bobbie and Alana. They have written 2 books, and ladies and gentlemen, you see those pictures that are rolling up. You know that makes me feel like I should start dating transgender women here. You know, come on, guys, what is this? I don't know that they are this beautiful here. But anyway, we were able to find them, so we wanted to show them who they are, and. Alana and Bobbie, welcome back to our latter half of our show. So there you go. You know that is absolutely incredible what we saw just now. Even as a straight man, I'm going to change my dating profile now. All right. One second. Let me put your sound back on. Okay, now I can. Okay, go ahead, guys. So, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can
Okay.
hear you.
Okay, very good. So coming back to the scenario here, um, so you 4 years have passed, and our little redneck met his tragedy, and then you are sitting around and say, okay, what do we do next? Now, as soon as he died, the same day or the next day, at that time, still Alan calls you, correct?
Correct.
Right. Tell us take our audience from that point on. What happened next?
Okay. It was the next day. Alan called and said, I saw this name in the obituaries. I'm just calling to see if that was your little redneck. And I said, unfortunately, yes, it was. And he said, I'm just calling to make sure that you're okay. He said, and we talked for a few minutes, and he asked me if there was anything that he could do. And I said, no, I'm sorry. You know, there's nothing no one could do. I was just going through
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
such a hard time then. But anyway, so we didn't see each other for approximately 10 months. And we happened to run into each other at the Kmart store. And I had just bought a new house. And when we ran into each other, I asked Alan, would you like to go check out my new house? Although he knew exactly what I meant.
Okay.
And so he looked at his watch and said, why, sure, I think I've got time to go see your new house. And we started our relationship, our sexual relationship again. But where we had been seeing each other often in the previous relationship, months, even a year maybe would pass before we would just kind of run into each other somewhere and then just go spend a few minutes together. And we didn't see each other very often at all up until December of 2006.
Okay.
And I happened to be sitting on my computer one day, and one of those AOL instant messages come up, and it's Alan, and asked me what's up and stuff like that. And I said, well, I'm getting ready to go Christmas shopping. It was the middle of December of 06. And Alan said, well, I need to go to the mall where you're wanting to go. Do you care if I go with you? And I said, sure, not at all. So I went over, and he said, I'm at my mother's house. Come by and pick me up there. So I went by, pulled in the driveway, tooted the horn. And although I had started hearing rumors about Alana, anytime I would run into Alan, he would never say anything to me about Alana. But when I pulled up in that driveway that day, it was Alana that came out the front door. She had lighter hair. It was combed in a feminine manner. She had on skinny jeans, and those fingernails of hers, which always look better than mine, were polished. And so that was the very first time that I saw Alana. And I knew that we were getting ready to go shopping. And of course, it's always about me,
Right.
you know, and what are people going to think about me? So that's what my concern was. All the way, it takes us about 20 minutes to get to the Fayette Mall in Lexington to do our shopping. And Alana is sitting over there, and we're trying to have small talk, and I'm freaking out saying, how am I going to walk through the mall with this freakazoid? There is no way I want anybody to see me with this person. And it was because I was totally unaware of transgender persons and worrying about what are the neighbors going to think, so to speak. And
Well, that is
so,
not,
it,
really, honestly, I think that is not an unfounded fear because it is what it is. I mean, people are not open to any of these new concepts or ideas that they are not comfortable with. So your concern was how are you going to walk into Walmart with this guy or with this person, right?
right,
So
right.
now let's go back before we continue any further. Let's
Okay.
go back to Alana. Alana, you are stepping out of your house, okay, and you know that you are going to shock the hell out of Bobbie, correct? Or did you
Yeah.
think about it? And what was your mind? What was going through in your mind?
Well, my mind, I felt it was a perfectly normal thing for me to do. And, I really wasn't sure what Bobby's reaction was going to be. But, I had really reached a point in my life where at that moment in time, it's just nothing really mattered anymore, and
Okay.
which we'll learn out why here in a few minutes. But I was in a bottom spot and nothing mattered. So I just was looking for a little bit of happiness myself, and that's what made me happy is being
All
dressed
right.
up and feeling good about myself.
What happened between you and Mary during that time period? Was she still in your life?
Well, no,
Not at that time.
we had actually been separated for a short spell, and eventually, of course, that led to our getting a divorce and everything. And a lot of people wondered, if it was because of my being transgendered or some other issues or whatever. But it was really just normal family stuff, finances and stuff like that's what really tore us apart in the end. Just not ever seeming like we had enough money or anything like that. So
So Mary was really not uh, did not go through the divorce because of your transgender confirmation or transformation.
right.
She got the divorce from you because of normal divorce, like many people go through. Is that correct?
That's correct. I had become an OTR truck driver for a little while. I was away from home for the better part of the year with only a couple of weeks at home, and it just all that stuff just kind of started tearing us apart.
Yes, there are so many different factors. Not necessarily this. Okay, good. So you came out and you felt, hey, this is I'm out of the closet, and I'm not going to go back into the closet. That was your position, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, I finally had stepped out and felt that freedom, and I felt things inside me beginning to change, and how I felt about myself and feeling better, not as depressed as often and stuff. And it just it felt great. No, I didn't want to go back in the closet and be that miserable person I had been.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Now let's come back to Bobbie. So he comes out, and you are now freaked out, and you said, "Wait a minute, how am I going to walk into my house? Or I mean, I feel awkward, seen with this person." So
Right.
you told him that, no, I don't want anything to do with you. So what did you do? Just walk out, or told him goodbye and never see again?
No, what happened was when I finally parked the car and us ready to go into the mall, I happened to look over at the person sitting next to me and I thought, Bobbie, you have known this person for 20 something years. You've had a relationship with this person. This is a good person and you know it. So just walk through the mall, look only at this person because I didn't want to see what anybody else might be looking and wonder what they might be thinking and stuff like that. So I only paid attention to Alana. And while we were shopping, it's really weird because in my brain, I identified Alana as one person and Alan as another person, one person being female and the other person being male. And in my brain, I saw and understood as two different people. And Alana was cutting up and has this great personality and all of this kind of stuff and everything. And I even thought, well, my goodness, Alana is a whole lot like Alan. And then I thought, well, you big dummy. They're the same person.
Right.
Well, then when we got ready to leave, we stopped at the food court to get something to eat. And Alana was sitting across this little table from me, and she took her finger like that, and she goes, "You're so cute." And when she did that, I saw that painted fingernail, that pretty painted fingernail, and it just kind of freaked me out because I'm not used to women flirting with me, and I didn't want to have anything to do with a woman flirting with me.
Okay.
So I told her, I can be your friend because I can be friends with anybody. But if you think that you and I can ever have the type of relationship that Alan and I had, you have another thought coming. Because, first of all, when you're here, you take Alan away from me, and I don't like that. So, broke her heart right there, didn't realize it. And so, the mood between us got uncomfortable again. I don't think we even spoke hardly at all on the way home. And Alana said, "You could just drop me off at Mom's house." And I said, "Well, I'll take you home. I don't mind taking you home. You're not that far away." And Alana said, "Well, Mom's house is my home now. Mary and I have separated." And I said, "Do what? You've been separated for how long now? And you didn't even tell me you were single?" And Alana says, "What am I supposed to do, Bobbie? Call you up and say, 'Hey, Mary and I are separated, but guess what? I'm a woman.'" So I'm like, "Well, I guess you got a point there." So when Alana got out of the car, I just assumed I would never see Alan again, and had felt that same grief, that same loss, as when the policeman came to me that night years before and said to me, "Your husband is dead. He's committed suicide." I thought Alan was dead. I'll never see him again. And I just figured that was the end of everything right there.
Okay. Wow. Very, very, very interesting turn of events. Coming back to Alana. Alana, let me ask you this: from age 8, you said that you felt like a girl or a woman. Now, in your brain, what is it telling you? Is it telling you that you are a woman?
Yeah, it's kind of like, you walk in front of a mirror and you look and you don't recognize the reflection that's looking back at you. You don't understand that because it doesn't look right. It's not normal. It doesn't match what you perceive in your head as being who you are, and so, which is still to me kind of frustrating, because I haven't been able to afford any type of surgeries or anything like that, which has caused me a lot of issues even today. I still fight depression stuff over that, and everything. So, I just I see a therapist on a regular basis, and just recently had to start seeing a psychiatrist all over again because of all this stuff. It's just uh, when you look in the mirror and you don't recognize the person that's looking back at you, it's just a horrible thing, and it's just gut wrenching, and just it's difficult.
So when you look at the person in the mirror, you are saying that you don't recognize this person. Now, let me ask you this: if you change your figure to a female to match your thought process, will it make you happy? Now, you are now looking like a female. Okay, so beautiful female, by the way.
No, thank you.
Okay, so is there anything else you need to do? Because why do you have to go to a psychiatrist or psychologist when you have reconciled the fact that you are a woman? Okay.
Okay, well, picture it this way. I'm 53 years old. So for the biggest part of that time, the face that I wear is a familiar face to me, but that face was also recognized as being a male face. So when I look in the mirror, I still see the face of days gone, from the old days, and stuff, even with makeup on and everything else. A lot of people may not see that, but I still do because, I'm familiar with that face.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there's not a lot that I would really want to do, a little reshaping of the forehead, the nose, and, just things to the face. And then, of course, the breasts and stuff. But that's about the extent of the surgery that I'm going to opt for because like I say, I'm 53 years old. I know there's people that would go ahead with it even at that 53, but I've got high blood pressure, I've got cholesterol problems, and I think going down below my waist would be risky. But, and it's more about what I see in the mirror, what the public sees when I'm out and about that really bothers me the most. And those are the changes I would like to make, as to the face and to the breast.
We do tease all the time because I'm a weight loss surgery patient and I've lost 100 pounds. So my breasts have gotten where they're really friendly with my belly button. So we tease on who's going to get the new boobies first.
Okay,
Alana keeps telling me, at least you've had them all your life. She thinks she should get them first.
she should get on first. Now, Alana, here is my question for you. See, you got this idea that you are a female at age 8. Do you think if you had not waited this long to come out of your closet, say, okay, man, okay, woman, I am going to come out, okay, and if you had done it at age 20, you would have much less trauma because the trauma seems to be you waited too long.
Right. Uh, it would have been easier if I could have come out earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But at the age of 8, you realize that in 1969, people weren't going to be nice to you.
That's right.
It's no way. I
That's
mean,
right.
if you were gay in 1969, it was
Bad
a bad
news.
thing.
Yes.
You did in Kentucky in 1969, you were looked down on if you dated outside your race,
Right.
and stuff. So I mean, it couldn't happen. And so, when I started hiding from it and saying, hey, I can't let nobody see this thing that I am because, they'll think bad of me. I buried
Absolutely.
that so deep inside of me. I started wrecking cars. I've had my head touch my back 3 times.
Wow.
My first car wreck was at 115 miles an hour with no seatbelt on, and I've never broke a bone in my body ever.
Wow.
But my lifestyle got real risky, and I just buried that stuff deep and hid from it, and got really wild and crazy, with drinking, drugs, and everything else just to keep it buried.
Oh, I
And of
see.
course,
So
So you are,
that's in Alana's book.
that's in Alana's book. Okay, we will get to
Yeah.
that next time.
yeah, yeah.
So coming back to Bobbie, so he is now. What about sex life now?
We still have the same parts we've always had, and they
Okay.
still fit together great.
All right. You know what? That was the greatest question that I have been looking here, and you have put us to rest. So
Uh-huh.
now, if that is the case, Alana, then why do you want to go through any operations? Because the operations will get rid of the genitalia that Bobbie needs.
Well, that's why I say I wouldn't have. I don't think at my age that I would go that far down below my waist. I would keep that part, and that's just a personal choice because the public's not going to know one way or the other what's in my britches, and they don't need to know what's in my britches. It's none of
Correct.
their business what's in my britches. So that is something that was between the two of us. Now, if I was younger, yes, I would definitely go all the way, and
See, if you,
everything.
I
But
see now that brings up another issue. That's a very important issue. If you are younger, and let's assume you are not 53, you are 23. Okay,
right,
because there are a lot of 23-year-old out there because they are watching the show. They wanted to find out your trials and tribulations. They want to know what kind of sufferings you guys are, especially Alana had to go through in her mind. Plus, because of her, Bobbie has to figure out her own situation in presence of Alana. So there are not a lot of 23-year-olds are looking at it. There is a huge population not only in US but also throughout the world. Now in US it's much easier somewhat. If you go to
right.
Key West, Provincetown, New York City, San Francisco, you don't have to worry about public. The transgender
Mhm.
community is well received and welcome in all those big cities
Right.
and some of the smaller towns across the nation. Kentucky may not be the best place.
Well, really, we live in a small town here in Kentucky called Versailles.
Yeah,
Population's a little over 8,000 people. So everybody knows everything that's going on with everybody. And one of my biggest fans after my book come out is the deputy sheriff.
oh,
So actually, it's for a small town in Kentucky. I've got a lot of support. I go on Kroger's and hey, Alana, how you doing? And uh, people in Kroger's has read my book. People in the courthouse has read my book, and so it's really gone really well for me here in Kentucky. And that was hard for me to believe that it could go as well as it has. To be honest with you.
That's
And
fantastic.
we've just gotten to the point that whenever initially I would almost be embarrassed to go out with Alana, but then it didn't take me long at all to realize, okay, this is the person I love. And if somebody else is going to give an odd look or something like that, that doesn't mean anything. That's not a reflection of us. That's a reflection of that person. And I could care less. Now, some people are brave enough to walk up and say something, or I've been brave enough to walk up and say something to other people when I can see that they have a questioning look. And mainly the thing I do is just simply ask, are you familiar with transgender persons? And usually they'll say, no, what does that mean? And then I'll explain, well, my spouse is transgender, and kind of a generic what does that mean answer is being identified as one gender at birth, but technically being your personal identity as the opposite gender. And then they'll ask questions. And to me, asking questions is them being educated. So we're educating a lot of people, including myself. I knew nothing about the transgender community and have learned quite a bit.
Okay, in your write-up, Bobbie, you say you are a cisgender. Now, cisgender, exactly what is cis means? C-I-S, cis.
Okay. That's some sort of scientific term, and you'd have to Google it to realize what that
Oh,
term is, because
oh,
I don't know the exact
I know exactly what that is. You know,
definition.
I am an organic chemist. Okay. Then in
That,
organic chemistry, they have trans and cis forms of organic molecules.
okay.
Okay, the
So cis
trans means
means,
like this, cis means like this. Okay, so both at same direction. Trans is one going like
okay.
this. So transgender
Okay.
woman meaning practically I would say cis means one-sided, trans means both-sided.
Okay.
I would imagine Alana has both qualities, so that's why she's a transgender woman.
Okay. Well, the
Or
cis part of it, with you holding your hands up like that,
yeah,
and meaning that the two are alike,
yeah.
well, that's what cis means. If you're born a male and you identify as a male, then you're a cisgender male. If
Okay.
you're born a female and you identify as a female, you're a cisgender female. So cis means to identify the gender you were assigned at birth.
All right, very good, because very important. Our scientific audience now know trans and cis in terms of organic chemistry. Now they know the biochemistry as well. In other words, cis meaning that you are born as a male or a female and you identify in the same sex identification. Very good. Well, this is the time is running out very fast. We got only 10 minutes left. This is such a fantastic and fascinating interview. Now, I was going through Bobbie your website and I found this particular person. I'm going to play a clip of this person for about a couple of minutes, maybe a minute or so. Then you please tell us why you put this particular video on your website. Here it comes, ladies and gentlemen.
On that. Hi. I also didn't get my homework in time. Just doing it last minute, so I don't have it in the nifty pretend that I'm not really reading this. So you'll know I'm reading this. Okay. Haven't given a speech ever. Okay, I get it. You're very encouraging. I love you. So, I'm at my hairdresser's. He's gay, go figure. And he's asking me about this event, and I say, yeah, the HRC wants to give me an award. Really, he says. Award for what? I say, well, I guess kind of for being myself. Like, maybe there's a little room for negotiation. So this position and that negotiation was being re-examined in Berlin 3 months ago.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Global Radio and TV Live. Bobbie, tell me, who is this lady and where is she in your website?
Okay, that is Lana Wachowski. She is a transgender male to female. She is a director with her brother, and I don't even know what Lana's name was prior to transition, but she and her brother directed all 3 of the Matrix movies.
Uh-huh.
And she also, at that time, came out with the movie that she directed again with her brother called Cloud Atlas. And I absolutely love that movie, Cloud Atlas. And because Lana talks in that, that's a very wonderful speech that she's given there, and talks about what some of the things were that she went through as a child. One of the examples being when she was in school, the teacher kept making her get into line with the little boys to go to the bathroom, and she didn't fit there. And what happened, she talks about what happened in one of those situations. And I just love her. I just think it's wonderful that someone in her position has come out and has let the world know who she is, and see that what a wonderful person she is. And another transgender person that is not on my page, but I probably should put her there, is Kristen Beck, that we met recently. Kristen was a career Navy SEAL and part of SEAL Team 6. And once she retired after 30 years, something, at least 20 years in the Navy, she has transitioned. And I have met so many absolutely phenomenal people. I haven't met Lana Wachowski. I would love to, but I haven't met her. I admire her from afar.
Very good. There's so many interesting stories that you have, considering the fact that you have to now. Bobbie, did you ever feel, even though you knew Alana when she was Alan, and life has been going on, do you occasionally feel any kind of prejudice or bigotry as you walk out there on the street at this time?
From me toward Alana?
No, not from you towards Alana. From people outside of you towards you, because you are being seen with her.
Yes. As a matter of fact, and it's usually a religious
Religious
approach
groups. Okay.
that someone. I was invited to participate in the 2014 Kentucky Book Fair here last month, and I happened to be sitting with a guy who had written a book about Alvin York. Was his name Alvin? Yeah. Alvin York, who was Sergeant York in World War I. And of course, he's famous because he was a conscientious objector and didn't want to go to war because he was such a Christian. Well, it's that Christian foundation that this guy that I was sitting next to, who had wrote Sergeant York's biography, he was very grounded in his Christian foundation. So he took every opportunity that he could all day long to point out what the Bible says, and so on and so forth.
Now,
and
does the Bible say anything about transgender communities?
Actually, I can't remember what verse it was and everything, but it was pointed out to me at one time that there was a verse about a black eunuch in the Bible, and eunuch can be translated to mean transgender because it's both male and female, or neither male and female. But there's something about a story about a eunuch in the Bible, and I forget, was it he was the first person that somebody presented themselves to. I don't know.
Well, from the medical and scientific point of view, eunuch is neither this way or that way, because they have partial genitalia from either party, or they may be absent, and they may have some other characteristics. But that is, if they are saying that the black eunuch is same as transgender, they are sadly mistaken.
Yeah.
Even today, that 2000 years later, people are having trouble understanding transgender. What was the understanding of transgender people in 2000 years ago? I think I would imagine that is very little or nothing. So
Right.
I
Right.
won't take that verse too seriously. Okay, so that is, apart from that, let's go back in the last 4 minutes, back to Alana. Alana, we all wish you the best. We don't want anybody to be depressed or doing anything else. This is not how the society should function. As a matter of fact, Alana, based upon your experience, a lot of transgender people are not coming out of closet. You know, the homosexuals and lesbians and the gays, many of them are not willing to come out of closet because of the societal problems. So what is your advice to an young person, 8 or 7 or 10 years old, all the way up to whatever the age they are? Naturally, you may not be able to directly advise an 80-year-old person, but somebody who is 20 years old who can take your advice. What is your advice to them? What do you suggest they should do?
Well, of course, it can vary from person to person, and each situation can vary just by the people that they're surrounded by. Like in my situation, I got lucky and my family stayed by my side. I lost a couple of friends, and I expected that to happen. Um, but, there's some families that just will not support a gay or transgender or lesbian son or daughter or a transgender person. I mean, there's a lot of families that turn their backs. So giving advice is really difficult, but the one thing I would like to say is that coming out can change your life, as far as your personal happiness. And somewhere along the road, we all deserve to be happy. And somewhere along the line, you have to make that choice. Are you going to keep living your life for all these other people around you, or are you going to start living your life for yourself? And that was the choice that I had to make. And my parents was worried about what their friends were going to think and stuff, and I knew that would be a problem. And I told my mom one day, I said, "Well, I've waited for years for your friends to die, and they won't die, so I'm coming out." And so you
Ila,
just you have to live for yourself, eventually, and make yourself happy.
absolutely right. I'm looking at you, Alana. I said that, you got a great life here. You got a love of your life sitting right next to you. There is no, I'm just saying out of what I have seen so far, there is absolutely no need for you to be so much concerned about. We all love you, okay?
Well,
So
thank
that's
you,
that's
thank
the
you.
bottom line. And I have never. By the way, this is my first conversation with a transgender person, Alana. So I don't see anything wrong with this. I'm being, being a human being is the most important. By the way, you said you lost a couple of your friends. You know what? They were never your friends in the first place,
Absolutely, you're
right?
right.
So I think this is great. Now I so thankful to Bobbie to see who is Alana is actually, and take him or take her at this stage is just a fantastic news and fantastic for the society, fantastic for transgender community, and more importantly, I feel it is fantastic for the general community because general community should embrace people of differences. We are,
Right.
whenever you say that one group is worse than the other group, then we have all kinds of problems. There is no love to go around. So that's all nonsense. So I
Right.
really happy that I was able to meet Alana, of course through the internet. Otherwise, this won't be
Mm-hmm.
possible. And I also see that there is such a vast potential that exists. As human beings, and nobody
Mm-hmm.
should be discriminating anybody against anything. So this is a fantastic show and a fantastic idea that you both came on and shared your opinions and shared your life and shared your smiles, loves, sorrows, and trials and tribulations. This is just fantastic. And here is what I would like to do. As 1 hour has already passed, by the way. I would like to have Alana come back. Of course, Bobbie, you are most welcome to come back. We would like to have another interview. And the next time, we are going to go ahead and talk about Alana's book. Before we go, Bobbie, could you please go ahead and tell our audience the name of the two books and where they can find it?
Yes. Alana's book is Hung in the Middle, A Journey of Gender Discovery, and you can go to www.hunginthemiddle.com. And my book is called My Husband Looks Better in Lingerie Than I Do, Damn It. And you can go to myhusbandlooksbetter.com. There's all sorts of videos and more information, and they're both on Amazon as well.
They're on Amazon as well. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. Well, maybe you heard it before, but you are hearing it again. Bobbie, Alana, thank you so much for joining us today. And
Thank you for having us.
ladies and gentlemen, we will be right back. And Alana and Bobbie, please stay on the line for 2 more minutes. I need to come back
Okay.
and talk to you for a second. In the meantime,
Okay.
let's enjoy this music. By the way, the music that you heard at the beginning of the show, and also the music that I'm going to play, is Bollywood music. I'm from
Oh, okay.
I'm from
I like it.
India, so I play Bollywood music in our show. So if you like it, I'll let you know where to find it. It's all available on iTunes. Let's continue with this.
Okay.